viewers, we embark on a profound and sobering journey through the pages of history. Tonight, we look back in time to revisit the devastating human-caused disasters that have forever altered the course of our world. Love Canal has left our community in shock and disbelief. What was once a thriving symbol of suburban success has taken a tragic turn. Tonight, we bring you a somber report on the unfolding disaster in Niagara Falls. Toxic chemicals buried beneath the surface are now seeping into homes and schools, posing a severe threat to the health and well-being of the residents. Join us as we navigate through the chaos seeking answers and shedding light on the gravity of this environmental catastrophe. Stay tuned for comprehensive coverage of the Love Canal disaster as the community grapples with an unforeseen crisis that has forever altered their lives. Let's have Angel share what Love Canals was like before these events unfolded. Angel?
Love Canal is a neighborhood in Niagara Falls, New York that became infamous due to a man-made environmental disaster in the 1970s. Prior to human intervention, the area that would later become Love Canal was a natural waterway. It was originally designed as a model community in the early 20th century, with plans to create a navigable canal that would connect the upper and lower Niagara River. However, Love's plans were never fully realized and the canal was abandoned and never completed. The area eventually became a landfill. Before human interference and the dumping of toxic waste, the area around Love Canal would have been a natural landscape, likely similar to the surrounding region of western New York, which includes rivers, forests, and wetlands. The disaster at Love Canal serves as a cautionary tale about the long-term consequences of improper disposal and hazardous chemicals and the importance of responsible environment practices. I'm Angel Frias, always on alert.
Thank you, Angel. Now we'll hear from Joy for insights into the events that transpired of Love Canal. Joy?
Here were the happenings during the Love Canal man-made disaster. In 1890, a railroad entrepreneur purchased land along Niagara Falls, New York. This entrepreneur's plan was to build a source of cheap hydroelectricity by digging a canal near the falls. However, the plan ran out of funds, and the only visible progress left was a ditch that later on became an industrial dump site wherein all waste materials were disposed of from the 1920s until 1940s. In early 1940, the Hooker Chemical Company purchased the canal to use as their chemical dump site of their products. The only protective barrier they used for anti-leakage was clay. But in 1953, the HCC sold the area to Niagara Falls School District. The district built infrastructures. However, they didn't notice that they broke the clay barrier while construction was in process. Due to rainstorms, chemicals started to mix in puddles and contaminated the water system. The most concerning problem encountered in 1970s were some babies in their community had birth defects and even miscarriages. Years later, the tragedy was published in newspapers and alerted health departments to conduct chemical tests. The president at the time declared the area to be in state of calamity in 1978 and 1980 and ordered all families to evacuate. And as the years went by, the cleaning procedures continued through the works of the chemical drainage system.
Thank you, Joy, for that information. The plight of those affected by these incidents is undeniably heartbreaking. Let's now turn to Chari to provide insights into the environmental input or impact of this disaster. Chari?
The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation did its initial inspection for potential leakage of toxic chemical substances into nearby sewers and sumps in 1975. After inspecting the site, they hired an ecological consulting firm to do its tests, which later aided the New York State Department of Health. The NYSDOH described the discoveries in 1978 as massive quantities of chemical compounds. Some tests from 9 residences near the Love Canal site revealed toluene in a few benzene mixes. However, there was nothing done to address the issue. Until mid-1979, the area's inevitable pollution became evident. The Love Canal became severely polluted due to the release of poisonous substances. It caused the bathtub effect, in which water combined with waste chemical compounds and spilled out along the canal channel site through sand and silt when the canal channel flooded, which led to soil and groundwater contamination. I'm Chari Bordeos, always on alert. Now we turn to Yuri to discuss the impact on health. Yuri?
In the late 1970s, a public health crisis emerged in the Love Canal neighborhood. Investigative reports and grassroots surveys unveiled a range of unexplained illness like epilepsy, asthma, migraines, and nephrosis, high rates of birth defects, and environmental contamination. Excessive winter rains raised the water table, causing toxic chemicals to seep into homes and the local school playground. Despite initial apathy from the state official activists, mainly working class women from the neighborhood persisted. President Jimmy Carter declared a state of emergency in 1978, relocating 239 families. However, 700 families remained even though tests confirmed toxic substances in their home. After a determined struggle, a second state of emergency in 1981 led to the relocation of the remaining families. The total cost of relocating all families reached $17 million. I'm Yuri Sagun, always on alert. Let's have Marjorie share her perspective on how it influenced our economy. Marjorie?
The Love Canal disaster had profound economic impact as property values in contaminated area plummeted, causing financial losses for property owners. The government had to allocate funds for the relocation of affected residents, resulting in economic implications for local and state budgets. Legal and regulatory costs for cleanup and investigations drained government finance. The negative publicity deterred tourism and business investment in the Niagara Falls region, indirectly affecting the local economy. Furthermore, the extensive environmental remediation effort required substantial financial resources. The disaster catalyzed significant change in national environmental policy, leading to the creation of the Comprehensive Environmental Response Compensation and Liability Act in 1980, known as Superfund. The Love Canal far-reaching implication influenced the approach to the toxic waste site and environmental hazards. Marjorie de la Puerta, always in alert.
Thank you, Marjorie. And we appreciate our viewers for being with us tonight. As we share the updates about the Love Canal disaster, please stay well informed, stay safe, and remember that together we can overcome even the most challenging of times. At this moment, we conclude our broadcast, but our unwavering dedication to keeping you informed continues. Please be sure to join us again tomorrow for further updates on this developing situation. And for additional global news, this is Janine L'Oreal, your window to the world.
Good evening, world. I'm Jeremiah Zaris, and welcome to the Disaster Alert 360. Our top story tonight takes us back in time to one of the most tragic industrial disasters in history, the Bhopal gas tragedy. On the night of December 2 to 3, 1984, in the heart of Bhopal, India, a catastrophic incident unfolded. A deadly cloud of methyl isocyanate gas engulfed the city, claiming thousands of lives and affecting countless more. The disaster remains etched in the collective memory of not only the people of Bhopal, but the world at large. Let us some to describe what Bhopal, India was like prior to the tragic event.
Before the Bhopal tragedy, which occurred in December 1984, Bhopal was a bustling city in the Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. It was known for its historical and cultural significance and was often referred to as the City of Lakes due to its numerous natural and artificial lakes. The city was home to various industries including manufacturing, textile, and the famous BEL or Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, which was a major source of employment and economic activity. The city had a diverse population with a mix of Hindu and Muslim communities, and it had a rich cultural heritage with historic landmarks like temples, mosques, and palaces. One of the most iconic landmarks of Bhopal was the upper lake or Badatalab and the lower lake Chotatalab, which were popular for boating and recreational activities. The old city of Bhopal, known as Bhopal Iqbal, was characterized by narrow, winding streets and historical architecture, while the newer parts of the city featured more modern buildings and infrastructure. So that's Bhopal, India is known for before the gas tragedy happens. I'm Samantha Valdez at your service.
Thank you, Sam. Of course, PB would like to hear your insight on the events that unfolded during the Love Canal disaster. Please share your perspective and details on what occurred during that challenging time.
On the night of December 2, 1984, a catastrophic gas leak occurred at the Union Carbide India Limited Pesticide plant in Bhopal. The gas cloud contained a toxic chemical called methyl isocyanate, which quickly spread over the city, affecting thousands of people. Panic and chaos ensued as residents struggled to flee the area. The death toll from disaster remains a subject of debate, with estimates ranging from 3,000 to over 20,000. The tragedy led to global outrage and activism, with people demanding industrial safety, corporate responsibility, and justice for the victims. Organizations and individuals have been advocating for the rights in affected communities and pushing for stronger regulations to prevent similar disasters in the future. People struggled to breathe as they inhaled the poisonous gas, and many collapsed on the streets. Panic and spread as residents tried to escape the toxic fume. The gas also caused severe eye irritation and blindness, skin bumps, and other health problems. The local hospitals and medical facilities were overwhelmed with patients, and many lacked the necessary equipment and expertise to treat the victims adequately. People were lying on the floors of hospital and in the streets, desperately seeking help. I'm Pibitan at your service.
Thank you, PB. The news about the suffering of people in this incident is indeed distressing. Let's discuss the environment impact of the incident. Ian, what can you tell us about how the Love Canal disaster has affected the environment in the area and potentially beyond?
We must pay close attention to the environment impact of the disaster. On the fateful day, the toxic gas claimed the lives of approximately 2,000 animals, most of which were cattle that provided essential resources for humans. Additionally, local rivers became contaminated with the harmful gas, making the water unsafe for people to drink. This contamination had a significant impact on human resources, affecting our food supply, access to clean water, and even the oxygen was breathed due to the spread of the toxic gases. I'm Ian Howard Dingal, and I'll be your reporter for this evening.
The Bhopal gas disaster had severe and lasting adverse effects on the human health for those exposed to the toxic gases. Thousands of people died within the first few days, and many suffer from acute symptoms such as respiratory distress, eye irritation, and vomiting. Survivors of the disaster faced chronic respiratory issues due to the inhalation of the toxic gases. Many developed conditions like bronchitis, asthma, and decreased lung function. And also long-term exposure to the toxic substances in the gas has been linked to an increased risk of cancer. Some survivors experience long-term neurological issues, including memory loss and psychological trauma. The effect of the Bhopal disasters continue to impact subsequent generations as well. The disaster had long-lasting health and environmental consequences, underscoring the need for proper safety regulations and adequate medical care for those affected. And I'm Dave Regala reporting.
75% of Bhopali people are unable to work for more than a few hours at a time. Due to the people not being able to work, the economy has suffered. The people cannot work. Therefore, they have no money for luxuries or even basic necessities. Banks tend to give loans with outrageous interest fees. Not only the city, but the entire state was growing where the leak, considered as the worst industrial accident, knocked the city's economy by years and now decades, causing widespread and long-lasting poverty well beyond the areas affected by the initial gas cloud, say economic analysts and activists. While the Union Carbide plant was a source of employment for almost 1,000 families and also generated livelihoods for others who were its suppliers, the compensation amount distributed to victims also eventually found itself back into the economy. It is indeed heartbreaking to see how everything is falling apart. This is me, Christian Daniel A. Banag, your reporter for this evening.
Thank you for being with us today. That's all for the news. But remember, information is powerful tool. I'm Jeremiah Zaris, alerting you to the world disaster 24/7.